Biggest floppers in the NBA, 2015. Some of them could be all time. We're going to have a fun discussion with this. Of course, Andre Snelling joining me. Anytime you see the black chair and myself, Andre is coming in via Skype. Trust me. I have no one else to talk to. No one's here in studio. But we got Andre via Skype coming in from Michigan. So, Andre, flopping is a problem in the NBA. We know that. And people try to sell it. And some are much better than others at selling the flop. If you had to pick a few of the best, I should say the best, the biggest. No, the best. Who are the best floppers in the NBA?
I mean, for me, this is one category that it almost is like a one-name situation. Like, I know there's a few, but and he's older now, but Manu Ginobili is the greatest flopper I've ever seen because he has no shame. Like, other floppers, they'll try it, and then sometimes they'll look a little sheepish. Like, Manu, have you ever seen the clip? And this is a few years ago. It's not 2015, but it still counts. Where like him and somebody else got into like a flopping contest on the same play. It's like one pretended they got hit, and the other pretended they got hit, and then they like both fell out, and it was just like it's the kind of thing that you're like, they're recording this, right? like we will see later that nobody came near you, So I have trouble moving beyond Manu as far as who the greatest flopper is. I think it's him in the landslide.
There's a few. I feel, and I hate doing this because I idolized Dwyane Wade when he played at Marquette, and before the LeBron era of Dwyane Wade was a special player. But there was a point where Dwyane Wade, it wasn't even a flop. He wouldn't be touched. And, man, he would flail backwards. Like, he would throw his body like a stunt double onto the scorer's table, and he'd get the call. So he deserves a little bit of attention, although this year's been better than others. Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, also this year better than others. But, man, they both have their moments on the court where they flop. By the way, shout out to Chris Paul. He dunked twice. He dunked
Imagine that.
twice. That's never happened before. I don't know what it is with Steph Curry and Chris Paul, but one dunks, the other's like, now I got to dunk. One shoots 35-foot threes, like, now I got to shoot 35-foot threes. The silent competition needs to be followed more, but that's a totally different argument. And then the most silent player of all time, somebody that I know you know analytically, with the real plus-minus, with the box plus-minus, had one of the best impacts in NBA history. Michael Lewis wrote it up in the New York Times a few years back. Shane Battier was one of those players that was hated by a lot of people, loved to have him on your team, hated him when you weren't there, was great on Duke, was great on Miami. When he was on the floor, the team was better. When he was off the floor, the team was worse. Although not 1 point per game, steal per game, block per game, would ever back that up. It just happened. Smart, high IQ, off-ball screens, the things you can't quantify. What he was also really good at, flopping and getting those calls. He was, according to Hoops Hype, he was like the 6th best flopper of all time. And I thought he deserved a shout-out, but you're right. It's Manu. It's Manu by half a mile. If Dwyane Wade continued his pace, he'd be close.
Yeah, and I mean, and if you're going to mention Wade and the way that he flopped, you have to mention James Harden because he does it the exact same way. Like every Harden drive, at some point he's going to double clutch back and flail and throw, and he's going to get the call. I mean, he always leads the league in free throws for that reason. He has an awkward game, and I guess it lends itself to the flop.
Leave your highest FPG player in the comment section below. Is it Manu by a mile? Did we miss a few? Sure we did. Lance Stevenson comes to mind sometimes. Josh Smith. It's just all the Clippers. But make sure to comment below with who you think the biggest flopper in the NBA is today and in NBA history. Maybe there's some guys from the classic days that we don't know about. Follow Professor DRZ on Twitter, @ProfessorDRZ. That would be Andre. RotoWire.com, of course, for all the good hoops articles, daily fantasy advice. As always, we'll see you next time.